At 26, Maya had finally achieved everything she'd dreamed of during her childhood in the rough neighborhoods where she grew up. With dual master's degrees from a top university and a six-figure remote job, she had escaped the cycle of poverty that trapped so many in her family. Her gorgeous three-bedroom rental house in a vibrant small town felt like a sanctuary, a home office for her thriving career, a guest room for visiting family, and a life that felt perfect alongside her loving partner. Then her family destroyed it all with emotional manipulation disguised as love. The catalyst was her older brother Jay, the family's black sheep who had spent years cycling through drugs, crime, and chaos. When he discovered he had a son in foster care, a child whose mother was imprisoned for abuse, the toddler was on the verge of being adopted by a wealthy white couple who offered open adoption with visitation rights. Maya supported this outcome, knowing the loving foster family could provide stability her brother never could, but her parents were horrified at the thought of their grandson being raised by white people. They orchestrated an elaborate deception, temporarily housing Jay, vouching for his character in court, and lying to judges about his fitness as a parent. Despite Maya's protests, they fought the adoption and won custody for Jay, a man living in a trap house without utilities. No job, no car, and multiple DUIs. The victory lasted exactly 3 weeks before Jay abandoned his son at their parents' doorstep, claiming he wasn't ready and needed time to get his life together. That's when the manipulation began in earnest. Maya's parents appeared at her door with devastating emotional weapons. Her mother's chronic illness made chasing toddlers impossible. Her father worked crushing hours after immigrating with nothing. And Maya, with her easy corporate job and spacious house, clearly had no real responsibilities. When guilt about her success didn't work, they deployed heavier artillery. She was selfish, heartless, a bad person who had forgotten her family after making it out of the hood. The survivor's guilt hit Maya like a physical blow. She had always carried shame about her success while relatives struggled paycheck to paycheck, and her parents weaponized this trauma with surgical precision. Combined with genuine concern for an innocent child who had already suffered so much upheaval, Maya reluctantly agreed to keep her nephew for the summer. That magical first summer nearly convinced her she'd made the right choice. Maya poured her heart into giving the boy everything she'd dreamed of as a child: festivals, camping trips, museum visits, kayaking adventures. She converted her guest room into a wonderland, built garden beds together, enrolled him in art classes. Her partner joined the effort, and friends rallied to create a loving community around this traumatized little boy, but summer ended, and Jay remained a disaster. Weeks became months, and Maya found herself trapped as an unwilling single mother. The beautiful life she'd built crumbled piece by piece. Her relationship ended when her partner realized he hadn't signed up for instant parenthood. Her career stagnated as she turned down every travel opportunity. Crushing debt accumulated from daycare and medical bills for a child not on her insurance. The boy likely had ADHD and needed therapy she couldn't afford. As Maya's resentment grew, the child sensed it with heartbreaking accuracy. The warm, fun environment became cold and tense, adding layers of guilt to her exhaustion and depression. Her 22-year-old sister began helping regularly, sacrificing her own college experience to clean up their family's mess, another casualty Maya couldn't bear to witness. Meanwhile, Jay remained deep in his chaos, living without utilities while playing house with a girlfriend and her children. The final insult came when he claimed his son on his taxes despite contributing nothing, smugly telling Maya, "You don't need the money anyway." When Maya's family suggested this forced parenthood was good training for eventual motherhood, despite both sisters choosing to be child-free, the patronizing cruelty felt suffocating. The breaking point arrived when Maya met someone special, a kind, ambitious man who shared her values and child-free choice. After 5 months of growing closeness, she realized this relationship had no future while she remained trapped in unwanted motherhood. She was terrified of repeating the cycle of partners abandoning her because of responsibilities that were never hers to begin with. On Memorial Day weekend, during a family gathering, Maya made her choice. Her sister quietly moved the boys' belongings to their parents' spare room while Maya explained to her nephew that he'd be staying with grandparents for a while. Then she walked away, blocking her father and brother completely while leaving her mother a detailed explanation of her decision. The backlash was swift and vicious. Male family members who had never criticized Jay for his abandonment hurled cruel names at Maya for making the same choice. Her mother pleaded desperately, knowing she alone had the power to break Maya's resolve through emotional manipulation. But the real torment was Maya's agonizing guilt about her nephew. This intelligent, sensitive child had already endured so much trauma: abuse from his birth mother, separation from loving foster parents, abandonment by his father, and now rejection from the aunt who had become his primary caregiver. Maya knew he understood far more than adults realized, probably overhearing family arguments about his future and sensing the growing resentment that had poisoned their relationship. She was haunted by the contrast between outcomes. With her brother, the child faced deplorable living conditions and continued instability. With their parents, he'd have basic safety but would grow up in the same rough neighborhoods that had shaped their family's struggles. The loving adoptive family who could have provided true stability and opportunity had been lost forever to her parents' prejudices and manipulation. Maya found herself caught between competing truths. She genuinely loved this child and wanted him to thrive. But she also recognized that forced parenthood had made her resentful and emotionally unavailable. The guilt was crushing, but she also knew that martyring herself wouldn't truly serve anyone, not her nephew, not herself, and not the family members being dragged into this mess. What do you think about Maya's impossible choice? Was she right to prioritize her own life and mental health, or should family obligation have kept her in this unwanted parenting role? How do we balance genuine love for children with the recognition that forced caregiving can be harmful to everyone involved? Share your thoughts on this complex situation.